away some towels. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm making red beans and rice for dinner, and I'm making us some homemade bread with freshly milled grains. So it's considered a whole grain bread. I'm going to get some of this stuff out of your way so that you can see. I'm also going to use that, oh gosh, that's heavy. I'm also going to use some of that fresh milled flour to make some homemade blueberry muffins. So ignore the Jiffy. That's not for me. I bought my mother a present. My mom and dad love Jiffy cornbread. I prefer to make it myself. I will probably make some cornbread to go with the red beans and rice because I like cornbread with my beans. And I'll actually make myself some cauliflower rice because I'm trying to go a little bit lower carb at night. I feel better when I go to sleep without a whole bunch of heavy carb to my system. Anyway, so come along with me as I do some baking and cooking. First things first, you can see the Instant Pot on the other side there, and that has my beans in it. I only start my beans in here. Let's see. Yep. I only start the beans in there. I finish them up on the stove. And like every good Cajun woman in the world, I have a bean pot. And it is in this drawer right here. My bean pot. Now you know the secret. You use the same pot. Okay? Now, in my beans, pretty sure I forgot to get sausage out, so I'm going to have to go do that. And I like some onion. So, I'll be right back. I'm back. Have a bowl of water here, and what I pulled out of my freezer is some fresh made garlic and green onion sausage. So I'm going to soak it in water just to kind of defrost it a little bit. And I'm going to take my pot and I'm going to put in some, my coconut oil is empty. Oh dear. I'll spray a little olive oil in the bottom of the pan. This is a 2-pack. Let me show you. It is super cute. Comes with 2 sprayers, and you could put anything you want in there. I just use a lot of extra virgin olive oil, so that's what I keep in them. But you could do like vinegar and oil if you wanted, or 2 different kinds of oil. You know, if you like canola oil and olive oil, whatever it is you like, that you can do. Anyway, I'm going to grab my trusty cutting board and my knife. Chop up some onions. And then when the kiddo gets up, she can go down and feed the onion bits to the chickens. They love that. Okay. Anyway, so there are probably a million ways to make red beans and rice. But I do it the way my mom did it, of course. And I think the way she does it is because that's how my dad likes it. So I've added some things because my dad doesn't really like spice, and we like a little kick to our beans. So I add a little Cajun spice. And I don't know that my mom puts onion in hers either. I'm not sure. But I like onion in it. And of course the sausage is going to give it that great green onion and garlic flavor. So I don't even have to really add much garlic, if at all. I don't typically cook with a lot of garlic because I have lupus, and garlic is one of those things that doesn't necessarily agree with the lupus body. So there's that. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera so that you can see what I'm doing at the stove. And then we will make some red beans. Let's scoot you just a little bit closer and over to this. Woo! That was almost real bad. Okay. I'm going to be cooking right here on this burner. Everybody has their favorite burner. Here's your question of the day. What's your favorite burner? This one is my favorite. This one is my second favorite, but I have 10 in total. So I could do a lot of burning here, you know? We're just going to heat up that oil, stir around these onions a little bit. And then while we're waiting for that to come to temperature, I'm going to put this behind you at the sink and wash my hands. Of course, I have a Three Sisters soap at my kitchen sink, just like every other sink in my house, just about. But I love having it. If you don't know about us, it's Three Sisters Workshop. You can find us on YouTube. We're about to start our channel here, but you can also find us on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. And we make soaps, candles, teas, and then accoutrements to go with. So we make resin soap holders. So I have a resin soap holder at my sink too that my sister made. And that's kind of fun. So here I'm just going to pull out my spoon, turn up that heat a little bit and let this get hot, and a spoon rest for said spoon. Hate making a mess on my counters. I mean, I always clean them anyway. I just hate making a mess on them, you know? Okay. I got some cast iron to wash today. I've actually got some cast iron in the oven for the bread. So we're going to get this started. I'm going to get out the ingredients and I'll be back. Okay. Cleaned it all up. It was kind of a mess. Now I'm going to stir in these onions. I so wish you had smell-o-vision right now because it smells so good in here already. Okay, so I need to get out the beans. They are a bit heavy. I won't lie about that. Whew! And I'm going to pour off some of this water. Quite often when I do them in the pressure canner, I use too much water, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. Okay, there we go. Now, whew, beans are ready to go in. Goodness gracious, that was a lot of weight. Okay, so for my muffins, I have out some monk fruit, which I'm sure I'm going to have to crush up because it gets really hard and sticky. But I prefer to use monk fruit in things that I'm going to be eating because quite simply, I have a sweet tooth and I just can't do all that sugar. So I use monk fruit. It does not affect my blood sugar like sugar does. And that's important for me because I struggle. Sweets are my weakness. I'll be honest. Sweets are my weakness. But we're going to do this anyway. So, okay. We're going to get started on some muffins. Mixing bowl. 1.5 cups of flour. I'm making a mess again. One and a half cups of flour. Then I'm just going to scrape off what spilled. I should really just put on an apron, shouldn't I? Okay, the onions are nearly caramelized, so what I'm going to do is take this big pot of beans and dump it in there. Woo, it's hot. Okay, now we're going to soak this so that I can clean it here in just a little bit. Whew, and it's time to make blueberry muffins. Okay, so I'm going to move some of this out of the way. And I'm going to put this on here and turn the fire down. And then we're going to start on the blueberry muffins. Actually, I've already started. This is the flour. Okay. So I'm going to do this in the bottom oven. Preheat to 400. This is a large muffin tin. So it's supposed to make 12 regular size muffins, which probably means it's going to make about 12 of the large muffins. 6 of the large muffins. I always spray my nonstick spray over the, this is not the one I want, over the sink. So let me grab the one that I want. I like the no stick spray for baking that includes flour. It just helps on these for me. There we go. And just like that, the pan is prepared. And I will put this up in a little while. I'm going to grab an apron because I just foresee the mess that I'm going to make, because I really can't help myself. I am a messy cook and a messy baker. And I have so many shirts and dresses and things with stains that prove that. You're probably a little muffled. I'm going to move the microphone in just a second. Now then, let's get back to it. So we have our self-rising flour, which is the flour, the baking powder, and the salt. So I need 3/4 a cup of granulated sugar, and like I told you, I'm going to use the monk fruit. And the 1/4 cup measuring cup. And I'm just going to kind of break it up. So 3/4 cup of sugar. Still got some clumps in it. Okay. There's your 3/4 cup of sugar. Salt and baking powder, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. These are usable for liquids as well as dry. So I will grab my oil. I keep a cruet of it too. I actually have 2 of them. One for pouring for stuff like this, and one with a spout that I can pour into pots. I don't know if you can see it back here, but it has a little spout on it, and it's time to refill it because I've used it so much. Anyway, all right, that was the oil. Now we need 1 large egg and some milk. That's going to drive me crazy, y'all. Okay, so I'm going to use regular milk in this, but I'm going to use an egg substitute because I can't have egg. So let me grab those 2 ingredients. Okay, so what I have is an egg replacer, and this works perfectly when you can't have egg. And I can't remember how much hot water. 2 tablespoons. So let's get some hot water going. And what I have here is a shot glass, and it measures ounces, milliliters, everything. So I'm going to grab 2 tablespoons of hot water, and then I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of the egg replacer and mix it up. If I had like a frother, that's the perfect way to mix it. I just don't have one anymore because it broke and I haven't bought another one. It's on my wish list, okay? It's on my Amazon wish list now, you know. All right, hot water is ready. Got 2 tablespoons of hot water. And then I need 1.5 teaspoons of egg replacer. So that's 1 teaspoon. And this one is 1/2 teaspoon. Okay. And then I have a little whisk that I use to whisk it up. I used to use my milk frother, but when that broke, I had just bought this little whisk. And then I take a little scraper to make sure that I get it all out. That's all. Okay. Now then, that's the egg, and I need 1/3 to 1/2 cup of milk. I'm going to start with 1/3 and then go from there. Okay. There it is. I'm going to pour 1/2 cup. And then just whisk it in. I'm also going to need vanilla extract and blueberries. It says 1.5 teaspoons. And that is close enough for me. I happen to love vanilla. So I'm going to whisk these ingredients up, and then I'm going to add the milk. And I'm going to make a mess like usual. If you follow me and subscribe, hit the little bell button so you know when I put out new content. You'll see that I'm a messy, messy baker. It just is what it is. We're all used to it by now, but I always clean up my mess, so it's fine. Okay. The last thing that I will do is fold in the blueberries so that they don't get too crushed. And I will have to rinse them first. These will be farm fresh blueberries that I've frozen this year that we gathered from our little blueberry bushes. Okay, we're just about there. All right, I'm gonna add in this milk. This seems to be just, I found this recipe on Pinterest yesterday. This is not my recipe. I'm not even sure who it's by because it doesn't say. Let's see. Oh, it's by Eating on a Dime. It's an inexpensive recipe and super easy, as you can see. Now, it gives you the measurements if you don't have self-rising flour. That's fine. it gives the measurements for the salt and the baking powder. I just prefer to use, it takes a little less time, honestly, makes a little less mess, and that makes me happy. Okay, so I'm going to, first I'm going to stir in the beans. I have not added any kind of seasoning except for some garlic salt when I cook the beans. So we will season that up once I'm done with some of this and get all of this cleaned up. Okay, so I'm going to cover that and get some blueberries. It says 6 to 8 ounces of blueberries. This has some dewberries mixed into it. But I'm just going to put 3/4 of a cup of blueberries, and then I'm going to zip it up, put it back in the freezer. I also make dog treats, and blueberries are great for dogs. Lots of antioxidants, that sort of thing. So I make them blueberry oatmeal treats. Okay, I'm just going to get these rinsed off. I know you can't see me, but you can hear me. You can hear that water. Okay, rinsed off. Get them a little bit drained because we don't want to add too much water to it. Okay. Ooh, evidently I dropped one. Now I'm just going to dump those in. Throw this back in the sink. Little rinse of the hands. And then I'm going to fold in those blueberries and put them in the muffin tins. Okay? When you fold things into a batter, you want to be gentle. Now these are frozen blueberries, so they won't crush too much. But, you know, as they get warmer, they will get crushed. And I like whole blueberries in my muffins. Okay, now then, I have my prepared pan, and I'm just going to scoop some into each spot. It's not very technical. I'm really just scooping. And then I'll split whatever's left amongst the little bowls here, little muffin tin. It does not appear that there will be much left. So like I thought, it makes the 6 big muffins. And I'm just going to put the rest of this batter in here. And then my oven is preheating to 400, and that's where we're going to cook these. So it's the bottom oven that's at 400 because the top oven is prepping for the bread at 350. Okay. I'm going to take a break real quick and clean up some of the mess, put away some of the ingredients I've used, and pull out the rest of the bread ingredients, and I'll be right back. Okay, while I was putting things up, the dogs are barking. Somebody may be here. I heard the oven go off. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in. It takes 20 minutes to bake them. So I'll be setting this timer for 20 minutes. Let's finish cleaning up. Okay. Now then, we're going to finish off the green beans. Green beans? No, the red beans and rice. We're going to finish off the beans by cutting open our sausage and slicing it. I've got a nice sharp Cutco knife here. If you haven't ever tried Cutco, I'm not sure you'll ever go back to anything else. I just adore my Cutco. I have a representative. If you want more information, please drop a comment or email me. My email is in our bio here on, what am I on? YouTube. That's where I am. I think it's also in the bio of our TikTok, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, the thing about Cutco is they are exceptionally sharp knives. So you want to be very careful when using them. I have sliced my finger. My sister that sells them sliced hers and ended up needing stitches because it was that bad. I'm going to move all of this over and chop up these real quick. This is a lot of sausage to go in red beans, but we like meat here. I realize that beans are a great source of protein. They're a great source of a lot of things, which is why we eat them every week. We eat sometimes more than once a week. Last week we had navy beans. The week before we had black beans. And of course I have the homemade black bean and corn salsa that we eat on the regular. So we get a lot of beans in our diet. They're a great source of fiber. They're a great source of protein. But in our red beans, we like plenty of sausage. So that is what I'm doing. Cutting up all of the sausage. This one ought to be really good. It's got that garlic in it. What was that? Garlic and green onions. It ought to have a great flavor. Okay, I'm going to wash up real quick because sausage is greasy. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't eat a whole lot of sausage. This sausage is not bad. It doesn't have all those excess things in it because it's made by hand by a friend of ours. But sausage in the store has a lot of stuff in it that I don't want to consume that's not great for my health, and I'm trying to take back my health. I have a lot of health issues, and I really just don't want them getting worse. So I'm going to dump this into the pot now. Ought to slow down the boil for a second. Then we're going to have to season our beans. So I'll be gathering up seasoning. You won't be able to see me, but you'll be able to hear me, which I just think is kind of cool. So I'm going to run into the pantry and get some bay leaf because I like bay leaf in my red beans. I like bay leaf in just about anything. So I'm going to grab the bay leaf from in here. When I find it, I will grab it from in here. It's here somewhere. Oh, there it is. I see it. Bay leaf. Now, the bay leaves I tend to rinse because they are leaves right off of a tree. But I like them. They give a great flavor. I just kind of like to rinse them. Okay. Then I sprinkle those in there. Don't worry, when you get one of the leaves, you don't eat it. You just pull it out. Okay, now we're going to stir this in. I'm going to have to add water now that I've added this. Okay, sorry about that. I ran out of room because I hadn't deleted some videos that I had already posted. My bad. Okay, anyway, put bay leaves in. Next thing I'm going to do is add some salt. Whoops. Here it is. I'm going to add some pink Himalayan salt. That is exclusively what I use with the exception of Lawry's garlic salt. And then I'm going to put in a little bit of white pepper and a little bit of black pepper. They hit your tongue in different places, so you will get the heat of the black pepper and the savory spice of the white pepper. I prefer white pepper to black pepper. I don't use black pepper in everything, but red beans call for it. Then I'm going to add a little bit of Tony Chachere's. This is not sponsored. This is just my favorite Creole seasoning. Sometimes I add like a Cajun spice instead, but this is very similar to that. So this is what I use. And I probably use a couple of teaspoons. I don't know. I basically measure with my heart until my ancestors say, "Shada sanofia." That's just how we cook here when you're from New Orleans. So I'm going to give that a good stir. Now, the other thing that my mom adds is ketchup. And I know that seems odd. Ketchup gives it just a hint of sweetness. And just thickens it up a little bit. So I'm going to pull out my no sugar added ketchup because I don't do sugar. You can use regular ketchup. You don't need the expensive one. But I'm going to be eating this, and I'll probably be eating it for leftovers too. So I probably put in a couple of tablespoons of ketchup. This one is no sugar added, so it's the sweetness of, the tomatoes and things that are in it, but it doesn't have added sugar.